Hi, welcome to this fourth episode. Yeah, 4 episodes. Can you believe it? Of the Mohave Leader Lounge. Our whole focus is to pull leaders in from all over the community and get the information, ask the hard questions, sometimes easy questions too, just to get to know them. But ask all the questions that you guys are looking for. So today, I'm so honored I get to interview Rodney Head, who is a city council member for Bullhead City and been in the city for quite a while. And I want you to tell us about yourself, because I know that you come from some law enforcement as well. So we're so lucky to have you be one of our leaders in the community. So why don't we start that? Why don't we start with tell us just a little bit about you, where you came from, why here?
Well, I'll tell you, when I graduated from high school, I had an opportunity to go to work for the Mohave County Sheriff's Office, and went to the academy. And when I got out of the academy, there were 13 of us that went to the academy together, and nobody knew where they were going to be going or what they were going to be doing. So Friday we graduate from the academy. Monday morning we go in to find out what we're doing.
Oh my goodness!
And I got an envelope with my brand new minted ID card and a key to the sheriff's station in Bullhead City. And I said, why? I'd been to Bullhead, but I'd really never been south of original Bullhead City, and I couldn't imagine they needed another or more deputies in Bullhead. So obviously I got in my vehicle, drove down, checked in with the supervisor, spent the day with one of the veterans that had been around for a while, and found that there was a whole lot more to Bullhead City than just original Bullhead City. At that time, the sheriff's office covered all of Lake Mohave up to Willow Beach from this sheriff's station.
Wow.
All the way down to the turnoff to Lake Havasu on I-40.
Wow.
And Oatman. So, and half of Golden Valley. But
how many people?
But there really wasn't anything in Golden Valley. So the sheriff's station down here consisted of a lieutenant, a sergeant, 1 corporal, and 7 deputies, and a detective.
For all that.
Wow. And back then, dispatch was not centrally located, so there were 4 dispatchers for the Bullhead station, but we really covered, the lion's share of the river part of Mohave County with, 10 sworn people and, 4 dispatchers. And that was the sum total of what we had here.
And you're in your early 20s at this time.
I was 19.
19? Oh my God, you weren't even 20.
Just a little side note. There had been a lawsuit in California. Someone had sued the state of California because you had to be 21 to be a law enforcement officer.
Oh.
And it actually worked its way through the appellate court. The appellate court said no, 19 is appropriate. So in Arizona, 6 of us got hired before the age of 21.
Wow.
And then the higher court struck that rule down, and the state law went back to 21.
But you were already hired.
We were already certified law enforcement officers. So
grandfathered
it wasn't a whole lot that was going to happen there. You couldn't very well come and say, well, now you have to wait, a year to work. So
you can work behind the desk for the next couple of years.
Exactly. So I came to Bullhead totally expecting to be here for a year till a position opened up somewhere else.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Got here and found out this was the place to be a policeman if you wanted to learn to be a good policeman.
Oh.
And so I moved here and have been here ever since.
And you worked your way up the ranks.
Yeah, I obviously started as a road deputy and progressed to a supervisor role as a corporal, and then as a sergeant. And by that time, the upper management folks, lieutenants and above, had all been consolidated in the Kingman office. So the station sergeant ran the district, and that was what I did for the last 2.5 years until I went to work for the police department. So did that. I worked in patrol. I was one of only 3 motorcycle policemen that have ever been on motorcycles for Mohave County. I did that for about 2 years. And then when I promoted and became the station supervisor, they didn't like me out riding around on a motorcycle. So, so I did that. And in 1984, when the voters of Bullhead City decided it was time to become their own entity and have an incorporated city.
What year was that?
That was 1984. It was when the election happened. So the way that process works for a new city, you know, the voters vote yes or no, and the populace voted yes. Well, then the Mohave County Board of Supervisors appointed the first city council, which is how that happens. And then from that point on, the city was an entity, but was not required to start providing services until July 1st of the next year. So July 1st of 1985, the city really became an operating entity, although before that there was a city manager, a city attorney, a city clerk, the city council, you know, those things to get things moving.
They weren't a township and then
they went straight. No, there really isn't. There really isn't something like that here.
Oh, okay.
Arizona's a lot different than it is back east, you know, and
there's no progression.
Well, there just isn't. There isn't that bunch of steps you take.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you either are an incorporated city or town, or you're not. And if you're not, then county, you know, the county services are what you rely on. And so when the city finally started developing, and you know, some of the key essential people were hired, including our first police chief, Tom Ennis. Then recruitment starts in the police department. And while, you know, I really wasn't involved with the rest of the city at the time, you know, the police department was pretty much my focus once I decided I was going to leave the sheriff's office and go to work for the police department. Well, as I mentioned, I was the station supervisor at the time. So I had a lot of contact with Chief Ennis, and by the way, great man. Sad loss in the law enforcement community when he passed away. So as part of that, the city was not going to be prepared to provide law enforcement services starting July 1st. So a contract was entered into with Mohave County to continue law enforcement until October 1st. So
that's pretty short, though.
So my last duty as a sheriff's sergeant was to manage the contract and law enforcement in Bullhead City. So we did that for 3 months, from July 1st till October 1st. Well, then literally midnight on October 1st, we did a handing over ceremony at the police department, and the chief and I met and exchanged all of our responsibilities and those things. And I went home and got up at 6 o'clock the next morning and put a police department uniform
my goodness.
on, and went to work, saw the chief again.
Went from brown to blue.
At 8 o'clock in the morning. So that was a pretty interesting, you know, time in my career to get a chance to, you know, to help stand up a new police department.
That is pretty amazing.
And so then for, you know, the next 29 years, I worked for the police department, from patrol, investigations, started the traffic unit, became a motorcycle officer again, did that till I promoted out of that. And in February of 2001, was appointed police chief, and did that until June of 2014.
At which time you retired.
Then I retired.
And then you failed retirement.
Well,
which a lot of police officers do.
So I really didn't.
I mean that with the love in my heart.
People ask me how being retired is, and my answer is, well, I looked at it for about 20 minutes and didn't find anything wrong with it, so I thought I'd keep that part. But there came a point when, you know, watching the things continuing to go on in the city, you know, watching the city grow and those things, that I thought it would it would be a little responsible of me to come back and at least try and be a part of that.
Yeah.
So I applied for a position that was open due to a death on the city council, was appointed to the city council, and then have subsequently run a couple of times to continue on the city council.
So is it just your love for Bullhead City that you're wanting? I mean, what inspired you to be in the city council?
I mean, Bullhead City provided me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it was a great job. I worked with really good people.
It's crazy.
Watch the community grow.
It really hasn't been that long. I mean, 84 to now is like
October 1st will be the 40th anniversary of the Bullhead City Police Department. So, I mean, that's quite a highlight for a community that has really a forward-thinking police department with a great staff and good people that work hard. Normally, when I'm talking with people, I say that, you know, that's kind of my legacy. I worked hard to make it an organization that was responsive and responsible to the community, and that continues today.
For sure.
I mean,
absolutely.
Great people. Police chief and I have a great relationship. Most of the senior commanders worked for me at one point in time, so I still have that relationship with them that makes me feel good about Bullhead City and our public safety people and the things that we do. The community is, I think is blessed with an organization that really truly does care about public safety and people's well-being.
I think you feel that too.
I think
sure.
so. I hope. I hope most people do. A lot of folks don't really understand police work. They think it's all about chasing bad guys and all of those things. But a lot of what policemen do is what we call order maintenance. You're having a little tiff with your neighbor. Well, nobody's breaking the law, but somebody needs to mediate that. You need somebody with a cool head and a little bit of common sense to walk in and go, okay, look, both of you are wrong. Stop doing whatever it is you're doing that is aggravating each other, and move on to something different. So my appointment to the city council came just after the midpoint of that person's term. So about 18 months later, I had to run for re-election. And then 2 years after that, because
and you decided to run for re-election.
So I did, yes.
So I mean, that says a lot.
And again, I think we have a great staff of people. The city manager and the city management team are really good people that are just looking to make Bullhead City a great place. Not that it isn't already, but you could certainly in 20 minutes ruin a great place.
Right.
So we always have to be looking forward to what is and what isn't, what's coming, what should be coming,
Absolutely.
What we should be looking for. What is it we want? Mm-hmm. And what is it we want mostly for our residents?
Yes.
And then after,
and that's what drives
and
you.
then after that, our visitors. I think that the city government should be responsive first to its citizens, to the people that live here and have made this their home. Then tourism obviously is a big part of our community. Mm-hmm. Well, we need to be a little responsive to those folks too, after we've taken care of the needs of the people that actually live here.
Yeah. And so you're driven. What was driving you? Was it just continuing to help grow and develop and be a part of it?
Yeah, and the ability to be involved in shaping some of the decisions,
which is pretty amazing.
It's there's a term we use in law enforcement leadership called institutional knowledge, and basically that means what's happened before, so you kind of know what might happen if you do something in the future. And I thought I could bring that back and maybe help the leadership in the city make good choices.
I love that. I love that. And I love that people are that committed. I mean, we have you are 100% correct in that, you're not making a windfall of money. You're doing this because you love the city. You're doing this because you want to be a part of this. Something else is driving you. It's being a part of the community.
Quite frankly, the honorarium that city council members and the mayor are afforded, while it's nice, it kind of pays for gas to come to things like this, to go to the ribbon cuttings, to do those things. When somebody contacts me and has an issue, I don't rely on other people telling me. I go look. That's how you find things out. You get out and look.
Yeah.
You find whatever the issue is. I mean, and sometimes, they're right. Sometimes, they don't understand why it is they can't, have a hog farm in the middle of a Royal Vista Estates, So you have to kind of go explain
Everybody
that,
wants chickens.
and talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a
problem.
That was an interesting council item. Especially when the state dictates the way you do things. And I'll just give you a quick example.
Yeah, please.
So on our last agenda was a change to the city ordinances. Well, being in your line of work, that building homes in Bullhead City in the summer is a challenge because it's it's like
hot.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat, just like your oven. It's a dry heat. So the city has had in their ordinance, in the noise ordinance specifically, a caveat that during the summer months, let's see, I want to say June to September, that concrete could be poured earlier in the day, before the sun's up, before it's too hot.
Like in the morning, early morning hours.
And put put some requirements on the contractor to notify the neighbors, to put sound barriers up, to do those things. Well, we obviously felt that was a pretty good ordinance. Mm-hmm. Well, the state then came along and changed the state law, allowing for additional time that was not in our ordinance. So we had to go change our ordinance to mirror the state law, because a lot of those things the state dictates to us.
So if the state is more liberal, you have to lean toward, you just have to do whatever the state tells you.
If the state law says something in particular, we can be less restrictive, but not more.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of the way that works. The chickens you mentioned is a perfect example. When
it really is an issue.
when the state created the state law talking about chickens and how you can deal with them and where you can have them and those things, again, then we could become less restrictive, but not more. So we had to codify that in the city ordinances to allow it and to make it, fit the things like hygiene and how far from your neighbor does it have to be, and no, you cannot have a rooster in the middle of Bullhead City, those kind of things. So you have to think it through. A lot of times, when ordinances come before the city council, the first thing I think about is, what does it allow people to do that they're not allowed to do now? And does it tell them what the limits are to that? Because I think we have found, not to get into politics, but in some areas in this country, when you allow the people to do whatever they want, they will.
I think that's human nature.
Yeah.
And it may not be even in certain parts of the country. It's like sometimes you just, my way I think and the way you think are different.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So
my extreme and your extreme might be two different extremes.
Right. Well, exactly. What might seem perfectly legitimate to you, to me, might go, no, that make a lick of sense in the world why you should be able to do that.
Before I came to Arizona, because I was born and raised in Minnesota, I didn't understand what fence out meant until there were cow pies all over the front yard of my mother-in-law's house. I was like, how can they just let cows walk in your front yard and poop all over the place? And it's like, well, you got to fence them out.
Yeah.
Free range.
Yes. And
I had no idea.
Yeah. And Arizona
that seemed nuts to me.
Arizona is an open range state. So if you don't want something on your property, it's up to you to fence it, not the other way around.
Right.
Now, I mean, I got to be honest with you. If I owned cattle, I would be fencing my cattle in because I don't want people running them over.
Right.
You know, and those kind of things. But I guess that's a discussion.
And again, it's it's just like that was a culture shock a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of weird, but I got a whole bunch of questions to ask you, and I'll just kind of jump around a little bit. So how does the city council engage with residents? So when you guys are making these decisions, I mean, sometimes if the state is telling you, dictating what you have to do, then there's no discussion.
Right.
But if you're making changes or if you're instituting rules and regulations, how do you connect with the...
Well, there are a number of ways. One, we publish every agenda on the city website. Again, understanding some people are familiar with how to work a computer, some are not.
What is that website though?
Bullheadcity.com.
Oh, I've been out there many times. Okay.
Yeah, and
I guess I just haven't looked.
I mean, yes, and you can find every agenda that that has gone on in any future agendas. So, for example, there's a board of adjustment. There's planning and zoning. The BATS Commission, the Bullhead Area Transit System Commission.
Not the flying
all
ones.
of those. No, those are
Bullhead City Area of Transit.
Area Transit System. Bullhead Area Transit System. That's but they have. I mean, they have commissioners and they have meetings. So those agendas are posted, and people can look at them and see, what might matter to them. We engage some through Facebook as much as we can. Okay. But again, and I hate to be this way, but if you want to know what's going on, you got to actually read something.
Yeah. Are your meetings open to the public?
Sure, absolutely. Okay. The only time a meeting isn't open to the public is if it's what's called an executive session.
Okay.
Couple of things about executive session. Anything that happens in an executive session cannot be discussed outside that executive session. And the only things that you can go to executive sessions for is legal advice from the city attorney, personnel issues that require legal advice. Mostly it is an executive session is there for the city attorney and or the city manager to inform you about things that might have legal consequences, for the city, but you can't take action in them.
Yes.
So for example, if someone were suing the city, let's say, and we felt that they probably were due something, that discussion would take place in an executive session so that everyone could ask questions, especially those that might be attorney-client privileged, those kind of things.
Yes. When
that's done, and let's just say for sake of example, in that meeting, the suggestion was that, you pay $5,000 to fix their door because you tore their door off. You can authorize that, but you have to do it at a public meeting. So our meetings are the first and third Tuesday of every month at 5:30, like clockwork.
First and third Tuesday of every month at 5:30.
Just like clockwork.
Yes. I slowed that down because I think I've had people interested. And again, if they went on the website, they would see that. But the first and third Tuesday.
I mean, and they always happen at the city council chambers.
Yep.
At Train and Marina Boulevard, there where City Hall is, not at City Hall itself, but across in the Justice and Council complex. And the agenda obviously is there for people to look at. I would hope that if you had interest in something on the agenda, because you can read every item, everything that gets submitted to the city council members is on that website.
Okay.
So when you go to bullheadcity.com, you look for mayor and council, and it will say meetings and agendas. And again, you click that little link, and there'll be a list of all of the meetings and the agendas. So again, everything is there. So if you're concerned, for example, that something's going to be approved and you don't like it, the first thing you should do is read it.
So
yes, we have at the beginning.
Educate yourself.
At the beginning of every city council meeting is an item that's called "Call to the Public," and people get 3 minutes to come up and tell us anything that they think they need to tell us that has to do with city business.
Do you feel like you get engagement in that? Is there?
We do when something is of particular note to someone.
Okay.
I mean, certainly there are people that come and talk every meeting. You
Oh.
know, they get up and say their piece.
Really? Okay.
And go on about their business. But a lot of times, if there's something specific to the agenda, that call to the public part doesn't come into play. That happens when the agenda items discussed. So call to the public is really for people to come in, give us their input on something that they think that's not on the agenda.
That they want your attention.
And the one thing that a lot of people don't understand is by law, we're not allowed to respond to things during call to the public. So for example, let's say you wanted us to build a cabana at the end of your lot, and nobody's putting that on the agenda. So you come to call to the public and you explain everything about why you think it should be done and why the city should be responsible for that. And then you ask, are you going to do it? Well, we can't answer you. The only time the city council members can respond to someone during call to the public is if they personally attack that person.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so if somebody were to come in and, for example, name a specific council member and say, I know you're taking money from XYZ and you're corrupt. Well,
they have to be able to defend themselves.
You got to be able to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So that happens during call to the public, and anybody can come and talk about anything that may have a nexus to the city council or city.
And not on the agenda, because
if it's not on the agenda, because if it's on the agenda, they can speak to it when the item happens. Yeah. So the progression is then, there are agenda items, including what's called the consent agenda. I'll give you an example. On that are usually minutes of meetings, things that are routine, that don't require a lot of discussion. So they get lumped together and they get voted on and moved on. If there's something on that consent agenda that is unusual, though, any council member can move it to a regular item and have a public hearing.
How many council members are there?
There are 6 council members and the mayor. So the council really consists of 7 people. Okay. Obviously an odd number so that votes don't end up tied.
Good. Yes.
So the body consists of 7 people, 6 members and a mayor.
So I have kind of some rapid fire questions. What is the budget for Bullhead City?
Well, the total operating budget is in the mid 60 millions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is like, wow.
Yeah. Well,
that's not so small.
You have to consider the police department's budget, is clearly at least a quarter of that.
Yes.
So then you have the wastewater operations, and you have water operations, roads and maintenance, parks, beautiful parks.
Amazing.
If we didn't spend money on parks, we would not have anything like this.
It's beautiful.
And I think they are, to use your word, amazing.
Yeah.
People come from all over this country.
That water park.
All of it.
The community park
all
is
of it,
so cool.
And
kids love it.
The people that want to schedule tournaments in our parks and those kind of things. Amazing time to be in Bullhead City or to recreate in Bullhead City. So that's how that's the operating budget. Now there's a lot more to the budget.
Oh, for sure.
But when you're talking about money that we're actually spending, it's in that neighborhood.
Yeah. And to me, just knowing what the budget is, like that's a lot of money. Like we're not a small little place.
If you want to see anything about that budget, online, hop in there and take a look at it.
Wow.
If you wonder how much money is spent on paper clips in the, at animal control, go right in there. You'll find find the answer.
What I know, there's a lot of, I've been here for 11 years and it is a completely different place than it was 11 years ago. Just 11 years ago. You've been here since you were 19. I can't imagine the changes that you've seen.
Yes, it's changed a lot.
What do you guys have a plan for the future? Are there things like the things that I hear are the primary concerns are the mostly infrastructure?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like how long is the 95 going to be able to hold any more traffic? That's one of the main things. And there's so many accidents, and I don't really know. Like, I'm not saying that there is a lot of accidents. I mean, there are accidents, but I don't know if it's a lot or not a lot.
Well,
like I don't know. Is it normal?
Having a background in traffic enforcement,
mm-hmm.
I can tell you that we're not unusual.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the highway is crowded. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, without a lot of north-south routes, the highway does get crowded. There are plans to make more corridor roads running parallel to the highway. The problem is that roads aren't cheap.
I know.
You spend a lot of money, on roads. Now, the one thing I'd like to say about Highway 95 is, the city took the highway over from the state within the last
just recently.
year.
Yep.
And that allows us to do a lot of things that we could not because it was ADOT's highway.
Yes. Like turn lanes.
Well, I hope you've noticed the right-hand turn lanes that are going in. And kudos, a shout out to Mayor D'Amico and the assistant city managers who worked tirelessly to get ADOT to give us the money to do that. That money was from state transportation funds. Again, just to add a little more to your information overload.
No, this is awesome. This is exactly what we want.
When you go to build things in the state of Arizona and the state is involved, you can expect it's going to cost you at least 1/3 more than you would pay for it, simply because of the way their rules are and those things. So
additional
the
steps,
money for those
people.
Exactly. The money for those turn lanes, instead of ADOT coming and doing $8 million worth of work, we were granted that $8 million, and we will probably get half again as much out of it than we would have if ADOT had been doing it. Again, no knock on ADOT. No. It's just the state rules, their procurement, all of those things. Yes. But these right turn lanes, knock on wood, are going to help a lot. Yep. Simply because if people are not in the road stopped to wait to turn right, that conflict is alleviated. Right. And you're not waiting behind somebody who can't turn right because of whatever reason. You can continue on about your business.
Which also causes accidents, I'm guessing.
Oh, sure.
Somebody is stopped. And
anytime there's a conflict, anytime you have those conflict points, the chance for an accident, is increased dramatically. So I guess Rising Star and Central are the last two that I actually went and watched and watched them making the right turn lanes. Those are going to be great, especially for the people down on that live in those neighborhoods. The one that I am anxious to finally see design and engineering is in front of Safeway, because it really gets bogged down there. Yes. With people turning
the Bullhead City Safeway.
The Bullhead City Safeway, yes. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see how it is engineered, because there's that huge flood control right there. So I'm just interested to see what that's going to look like.
It is huge. The Safeway that's in Fort Mohave has a turn lane, and that is tremendous.
It's a big deal. Those kind of things are helpful. So again, as we continue to look for either land purchases or developer involvement in some north-south transitions that are not on the highway, it's always in the planning, always forefront in our minds. But again,
it costs money.
It takes money to do those things.
So they have pulled, and this is county, not necessarily Bullhead, but they're pulling the Mountain View, right? They've extended Mountain View to go from it goes all the way to Corwin, which is really quite nice. But Vanderslice has been on. It has been
on the map. It's been on everybody's radar for as long as I can remember.
Okay, and it even is identified as being fun, that it had some funding.
Right. But that's all in the county.
Okay.
what we would do to facilitate that once it gets to the city is really, is really kind of up in the air, simply because to continue it north in through the city, there's a lot of engineering that would have to go on. If you think about going up the Parkway, when you look off to the left, if you're going from the south end of town, I mean, how far down is that canyon?
Very far.
So you have to figure out how you're going to do those things. What are you going to disrupt to do it? And what kind of money is it going to cost?
At some point in time, I'm guessing that some of those, the money will have enough people that we have more money too.
Well, sure. I mean, and again, you know,
progress.
You just have to work your way through all of the different things that might be affected by wherever you choose to put another corridor.
I think that's the biggest question, is the whole. What about from a transit perspective? Is there any plans around? And again, maybe this is more county. I kind of intermix the two. But is there any plans around like transit, like mass transit, bus?
Well, we have the bus system in Bullhead.
I didn't know that, but
we don't have the ability to move it or really to affect
a larger
anything like that south of Bullhead. Although, I mean, I could guarantee you that if the county were looking to make something that we could link a bus system with a bus system down here. By down here, I guess I should say we are in Fort Mohave. If there were a way to do that, we certainly would be in favor of working with that. Anything that makes it easier on the resident.
Or less cars on the road.
Absolutely.
So those are kind of two of the big traffic things. But just because we're running out of time, I have two questions. One is, what's like one of the big projects that you guys are working on right now?
I will tell you, after taking the water system over from a private entity that really neglected it the entire time they owned it, that's a big deal.
So that's EPCOR had
when we took that over from EPCOR, we are finding, and we knew there would be issues, but we're finding every day that they're more and more. And one of the things that state law requires is that when you have what's called an enterprise fund, a fund like the water fund, it has to be self-sufficient. So sadly, we're going to be discussing more and more a rate increase for our water users. When I was not on the city council when the city took the water system over, I understand exactly what happened and how that went and why. So, but here we are looking at having to raise the rates. One of the things that the city council at the time promised was there would be no rate increases for at least 2 years. And that, that's a big deal. And we've stuck to that as best we can. But the general fund, the fund that funds our roads and our parks and all of the things that we do, cannot by law continue to fund the water system. So that's a big thing that's on the horizon short term. Long term is making sure that we continue to watch our development and grow smart. I expect that once the entities that are trying to develop that project, I think they call it Emerald Bay. Once they get to the point where they're really serious about moving forward with that, that's going to be a big deal.
Do you think that will come to fruition?
I think they are working very hard to make sure that they have the right amount of land and the things that they need to do that. I mean, you never know
financially.
You never know for sure. I mean, we've all seen people with pie eye in the sky dreams. I look at one every day when I look out the front door of my house and see that unfinished hotel casino over on the Laughlin side of the river that sits there like, I don't know, a monument to failure. I don't know. but
Wrong
you
time.
know, a lot of time people try and do things and they don't come to. I mean, I hope they're successful.
Me too. Yeah.
Anything that
furthers our community, betters our community.
Someone once said to me, and he was 100% right from my perspective. If it's good for Bullhead City, it's good for me.
Absolutely.
So we should be looking at those things. Now, uncontrolled growth is crazy, so we have to watch what we're doing. You know, I read through some of the topics you wanted to talk about, and one of the things that was listed, there were challenges. Everybody wants water.
Yes.
Everybody wants water. Now, thank goodness that prior city councils and leadership in the management team of Bullhead City thought about that a long time ago and bought water rights when they were available. So we have first priority in a lot of our water. It's not unlimited. I don't want anybody to get the impression I'm saying we have unlimited water. I mean, just because we're right next to the Colorado River doesn't mean we can take the water out of it. A lot of rules. So we have to be watching that all the time because everybody wants to get their hands in our water.
No kidding.
You know, I mean, if you look back to the initial Central Arizona project, taking water out of the Colorado River and moving it to the Phoenix Valley.
Yeah.
Well, there are places down there that are trying to buy up property in this area so that they can
get the water,
so that they can get the water rights to it, so they can have the water. So, you know, big deal. So you always have to be thinking about those things. But as I said, fortunately, prior city councils and management teams were forward thinking enough to buy some of those water allotments.
That's for Bullhead City.
That's for Bullhead City.
And so there's other challenges in the county, obviously. But so there's no, in the immediate future, there's no concern about water?
No.
Okay.
No.
In Bullhead City, we're talking.
Our allotment, actually, the Colorado River water that we have under our purview would, again, you estimate a little bit, but would allow for a grow out of just over 100,000 homes in Bullhead City.
Homes. So that could be times.
Well, I guess residents really is the word I should have used.
Because I think it's like homes. 3 acre feet per home or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But our allotments, you know, I mean, we have, you know, those commitments for that Colorado River water. Obviously, you know, if the river dried up, doesn't matter how many allotments you have. But that's a thing that the city and the county have really got to stay on top of, is watching what goes on as these other communities and other states. You know, that's a 7-state compact.
Yeah.
So we have,
and we're not the top.
Yeah. Well, and we have to make sure that when they are looking at changing that compact or revising those things, that we're watching our priorities.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot for the city council to have to worry about. I mean, there's only six of you plus a mayor.
Right.
That's a lot. The water and the traffic piece alone are like, and you do this for the love of your heart, because again, you're not going to become a millionaire. You know, it's like
not hardly. I'm not out trading stock portfolios like the folks in the big leagues.
For me, it's like I really appreciate that our local government people take the time, which is why we do this. We need to get more of our leaders out there. Like, people need to see our local community, have to see our leaders like you.
Well, and all people have to do is contact us. I mean, we're,
for sure.
You know, I don't know a person that sits on the city council that wouldn't meet with someone or talk to somebody about something. Now, I mean, I will add this little caveat: you don't get to yell at me, you don't get to scream at me. I did that for almost for almost 40 years, and my level of
And you still like people.
and my level of commitment to standing around and being yelled at is zero anymore. But
Yeah.
that we're always happy to have healthy conversations with people. When you don't listen to someone else's perspective, that's your fault.
Yep.
And it harms you.
Absolutely.
Even if at the end of it you 100% disagree, at least you know they had an opinion.
Yeah.
You know, again, not an opinion that just you're stupid,
right?
But an opinion about something that
Right.
matters.
I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. My second question and final question is, is there, so what I hear is that, and this has to do with real estate. So Lake Havasu is like, I guess, out of land or closely out of land.
Gosh, I
it's
don't
harder.
know.
It's harder for them to expand, and so we're seeing a lot of people move from Lake Havasu to here. So are we going to not just the infrastructure, like the roads but what about like small businesses, like expanding, getting more people involved in opening a small business? Or I heard like we're supposed to have El Pollo Loco come. I mean, you hear all these rumors. Like I think Costco and Olive Garden have been on the list since I've been here for 10 years. Oh yeah, they're coming.
Sure. Well, so let's talk a little bit about that, because it's interesting to me the lack of knowledge that the average person has about how a business decides where they're going.
Yeah.
First off, they want to know, do you have enough rooftops? That's what they're looking for. Are there enough homes in this community to sustain our business? Big businesses. Right. I mean, smaller businesses, run on a different margin. Yeah. That's why if you look at Facebook at the city's page, you'll see a lot of times when a new business is coming to town, the city announces it. I think you can talk to almost any new business owner here in Bullhead City, and they will tell you Bullhead City is the easiest place to start a business because we will help them. Wow. Okay. Instead of telling them what they can't do, we'll help them figure out what they can do. Now, the one thing that we don't do, which a lot of people wish we would, is determine whether or not your business is viable and you should come to Bullhead. Oh. I mean, you'll see an announcement. There's a new restaurant opening, and it's going to have Mexican food, Southwest food. We don't need another one of those. Why doesn't the city? Well, the city doesn't determine what businesses want to spend their money here. So a lot of times it's what someone thinks they can be successful at. For sure. There's actually a building along the road here, and a lot of people have no idea what it is. I don't know if the sign's still out in front of it because I don't pay that much attention anymore. It's called TNT Industries. Mm-hmm. You know what they did? Water. They made twist ties for plastic bags. Yes. That's what they did. Yes. They chose to be here because they thought they could be successful here, obviously. And this was the place they wanted to have their business. Well, if nobody wants you bringing your twist tie business here, should the city be able to tell you can't have that here? No, of course not. Unless it's an environmental disaster, or it's going to be a planning and zoning issue because you want to, again, put a hog farm in the middle of Arroyo Vista. The city probably shouldn't be in the business of telling you what your business should be. Right. But the city engages a lot. When a company representative comes to town and wants to talk about things that might entice them to come here, or those things, always open to visiting with them. There's a big business convention that happens in Las Vegas. Just happened real recently. Yes. The city always sends representatives because we want to talk to these folks. Yeah. We want to talk to the Olive Gardens and the Costco's and those folks. A lot of times when they look at demographics and they say Bullhead City, they see, all right, you have 40,000 residents. People. Yeah. But you're serving 75. Mm-hmm. When you start looking at what's going on. I mean, people drive here to Sam's Club from a lot of communities around here. whether it would support another Costco or not. Costco would have to make that decision.
Right.
But, Home Depot and Lowe's seem to be doing pretty good. Although I told you I'm remodeling a bathroom, so they're making most of their bank this month on me.
Do you have any? Can you share any? Like, I'm guessing it's on the website as well, but any off the top of your head that are coming soon?
Not that we can really announce that haven't already been.
Okay.
A lot of companies don't want you talking about their desire to come somewhere until they're ready to announce it. So, we try to avoid that.
Yeah.
But again, you can see any of that stuff on Facebook.
Okay.
You can also, any press release that gets put on Facebook is also on the city website. Just look for press releases.
Yeah.
It'll be there. I mean, if there's an item, for example, on the council agenda, I talked about the agendas being there. Well, if someone tells you something happened at a city council meeting and you want to know more about it, you can go back and actually watch the meeting.
Oh, they're all video?
Yeah, they're all videoed.
Awesome.
They're all there for people to go back and watch.
That's awesome. I'm going to get on there. I'm going to
go take a look.
After this.
I mean, there's a lot of dead time where you might be looking at it going, that's not really something that interests me. But again, you can look at that agenda. If there's something that you think might be important to you, you want to know, well, how did they make this decision or what decision happened?
And you guys are on Facebook,
look at it.
So we can like and follow you. Mm-hmm. And so any announcements will come through Facebook.
Anything will come right to you. Yeah.
And so I think that really people need to like and follow Bullhead City, because you'll get like press releases.
You can see all the updates of things that are important from the city's perspective.
Right.
What might be important to one person may not be from the city's perspective. But again, those avenues are there on the web page where you would go and look at the agendas. You can find every council member's email. Send an email if you have a question. I love that. A lot of times people will find that that the city council member only responds with, I will forward this to the appropriate person. One of the things about the city council is we're one of 7. So you don't make decisions. I mean, if somebody sent me an email and said, I want this, I can't make that decision for you. Now, if somebody says to me, man, there's this huge pothole on the corner of my street, and I've asked to have it fixed, and I'm either asking the wrong person or whatever, well, I will get to the person and I'll go check and see, did it get fixed? Did those things happen, But a lot of times, people think, well, it won't do any good to ask. Well, never hurts to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst answer you can get is no, I would imagine. Or actually, in some cases, the worst answer you get is yes. But yeah, so there's a lot of engagement, and none of the council members are shy from talking to people, trying to help folks and do the things that, again, are good for the residents.
Yeah.
Because that's really the only thing government should be worried about is it good for our residents? And
again, you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart for the most part.
For the most part,
absolutely amazing. I could talk to you all day long, so I'm sure we'll have you back. But I really thank you for the time.
Absolutely.
Like what's really important so we sell real estate, but what's really important for us is that we're a part of the community. And you're right in that people can go right to the website, but they don't. And so what's an easier way to get the information out except for through video? So I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
I can't believe how much knowledge you have and that you've been here for so many years.
I've watched things happen and wondered why, and then I've watched things happen and knew why. So you involve yourself or you don't.
Yeah.
You either want to be part of something or not.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
And your service. So both of them, it's amazing. It seems like I'm glad you failed retirement. So thank you.
Well, and good luck. Thank you. It's been nice to come out and see you today. I hadn't talked to you in a little while. Yeah. So it's nice to get to visit with you and to talk about things that are important to the city.
Awesome. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode with Rod Head. Again, he is a city councilman for Bullhead City. And I'm so grateful that he came in and told you guys about all this amazing stuff, this great stuff. So we live in a really fantastic place.
Absolutely.
And I'm never leaving. I'm gonna die right here. So, so thank you. This is Mojave's Leader Lounge. This is the 4th episode, and I hope that you enjoyed it and come back for the 5th episode. Thank you.